Hi, we're in here. I'm editing the show as we speak, right before Christmas Eve. Super excited for the holidays. This is a bonus episode of sorts. We're talking less about K-pop and more about K-hip hop. That's right, your favorite hip hop musicians, R&B musicians, rappers, that kind of thing. If that is interesting to you, well, you're in for a treat. If you are not interested in that kind of content, I don't know. Maybe just kind of keep us in the background while you go about doing your things today, driving, doing work. I don't know. Holiday's over by the time this episode goes out. So, hey, if you want to tune into more of me, Doug, and Anita talk about K-pop, well, hey, December 27th at 2 p.m. At Twitch, we're going to be doing a World Cup. We're going to be doing a sort of a bracket of sorts to sort out some of the best songs of this year. I know we did awards last week, but hey, we thought, hey, might as well stretch it out a little bit. It's been a fun year with a lot of great songs. So hey, come check us out. That's www.twitch.tv/SojuTalk. It's going to be December 27th, 2 p.m. Eastern. For the European folks, I hope that's easier to join. Hey, if you're not able to join that, or you're listening to this, it's too late, it's past December 27th, 2 p.m., that's fine. The recording of that is going to be going live on January 2nd, in the time slot of a regular episode. So tune in for that. We're keeping you guys covered. I'm going to try to do a live stream in there between all that shenanigans somewhere since I have time. But hey, if you're dying for our regular episode just between me, Doug, and Anita, January 9th, we're going to be returning with a regular episode where we talk about song discussions, news, and all that fun jazz. So, yeah, hang tight. We'll be back with our regular stuff. I promise. All right. Well, the regular episode, back to the regular episode. Let's start the regular episode. That's what I mean. All right, bye. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is SojuTalk, your weekly shot of K-pop. My name is Warren. Joining me is KME. What's up, man?
What's up?
Hello. All right. We are typically a K-pop podcast. We talk about K-pop. 2 weeks ago, we talked about NMIXX, Sonya Breaker. But today, you're tuning in for a special episode of SojuTalk K-hip hop awards. We're going to talk about K-hip hop that happened this year, as well as R&B music. So if you're tuning in because you regularly listen to the show, we're going to be talking about some rap music, R&B music that I think are some of the best stuff that came out this year. But if you're tuning in for the first time, check us out next week or the week before us as we talk about K-pop stuff, if that's something you're into. But as a quick reminder, check out SojuTalk on your favorite podcasting platform, sub to us on YouTube, join us on the SojuTalk Discord, be a part of the nation. Yeah, no, okay. So, how you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just chilling, enjoying the end of the year stuff, and yeah, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, no, we tried this last year, and I think I had a lot of fun between you and me. So I was like, okay, why don't we do it? Why don't we run it back up, give it another go? Especially because this year has been kind of spicy, I think, for like K-hip hop, even though it hasn't been quite loud per se. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a crazy year, especially with the amount of people who have just come back after being absent for a long time. So I'm sure we'll get into that. But yeah, it was like a dream year for me. To almost overwhelming. A point of overwhelming because like every single one of my favorite artists kind of probably dropped this year. So, but it's it's one of my favorite years in quite a bit.
I feel you. This has definitely been a really hot year, I think. Lots of great comebacks. Which is kind of ironic because like with the lack of Show Me the Money, people are like, oh, like K-hip hop is dead. It's kind of boring now. I was like, I couldn't disagree with you anymore. Like, this is so not true.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep hearing that and then seeing that, and it's like, dude, I don't know. It's kind of baffling, but I get that. So Show Me the Money is a lot of people's kind of touch point to the scene and stuff like that. But yeah, there's been so much good stuff going on, in all aspects and really in R&B and hip hop this year. So there's a little bit of everything.
Honestly, there has been a little bit of everything. Lots of great diversification in Korean music recently, and I think I really dig that. But before we actually talk about the awards of the year, couple announcements. So if you're tuning in on the day this episode drops, this will be December 26th. I guess it's after Christmas. Merry late Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
If you go to our previous episode, we talked about the K-pop awards that we gave out to folks for 2023. I think that was pretty fun. Lots of spicy comments, spicy reactions. I think that was fun. Next week, what should be going up is a recording of a live stream that we do sometime either tomorrow or the day after, in terms of the day this drops. So either the 27th or the 28th. We were still finalizing a date. But if you're listening to this before that happens, definitely tune in. I think it'll be a kind of a fun K-pop World Cup event. If not, well, I mean, the VOD should be going up soon. So go check that out. But okay, let's actually talk about the awards, right? We have 8 different categories this year. We have Rookie of the Year, Label of the Year, Producer of the Year, Hip Hop Track of the Year, R&B Track of the Year, Hip Hop Album of the Year, R&B Album of the Year, and Artist of the Year. We, for the most part, because we're recording this near the end of December, we're covering December 1st, 2022 to November 30th in terms of music. So music that dropped between now and December 1st is sadly going to be eligible next year. So like people like, I don't know, what actually dropped?
Zion T.
Yeah, Zion T actually. Yeah, that was pretty
Maybe.
recent.
Yeah.
That would sadly be uneligible for this year. I had to quickly scroll down, make sure I don't have his name on here. Okay, that's good. Okay, I don't. Okay. Okay, cool. Should we kick it off? Should we kick it off right with Rookie of the Year?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. We were a little flexible with the definition of what a rookie is, right? Typically in K-pop, rookies are anyone who debuted this year or the year of, the coverage, but we're changing that definition a little bit so that we're talking about anything who came into spotlight this year. Doesn't necessarily have to be debut year per se. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to choose a person. You're going to choose a person. And we'll just talk about each person for a little bit, and kind of give her little trophies there, golden soju, if you will. But I can go first if that's cool with you, since I'm already talking anyways.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, to kick it off, my Rookie of the Year goes to Dubee, which is, I know that's a strange name. That's Dubee. He kind of rebranded himself earlier in the year to the strange Dubee name, and he has been doing these drumless, grimy, dirty, these hardcore hip hop tracks, along with other members of Orchestra and other members of Homodrumians, that I think has been really, really, really interesting. There was an album that came out, I think around summer, called Orchestra, Arkestra, and it was some of the dirtiest goddamn beats I've heard in a long time from this guy. I don't even know who the producer is. I was like, man, like I have never heard of anybody on the credits here, and it was like so grimy, and it's a little different from the drumless tracks you get from Griselda, and the kind of neo boom bap trend that's been like popping off in the stateside, because they definitely feel like they lean harder into like making sure the Korean parts of what they rap about is like actually sounds good. You know what I mean? So I think my Rookie of the Year goes to this guy Dubee. He has been leading the efforts of Orchestra as well as Homodrumians. His solo album was a little goofy. I didn't like it that much, I'll be honest. But like even like I know we literally said like this month's album music is not eligible, but like literally just like a week or so ago he dropped another collab album with another producer. I'm trying to look up the name real quick, which is Otodub's Invasion, a collab with Otosami Q's as the producer, and that was like grimy and dirty as shit too. On the other hand, I can see people were saying that his rap is a little boring. It's a little too repetitive in terms of the flow. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see that. If you don't like the East Coast vibe, I can definitely see this might not be up your alley. It's definitely not the kind of pop rap that you expect from a lot of the mainstream K-pop, K-rap, K-hip hop musicians. So, regardless, my rookie of the year goes to Dubdubee, Dubee. Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah, actually barely recently this year. When you were telling me off camera earlier that he was on like Show Me the Money and like season 5 against, was it BY you said?
Yeah, no, he was doing 1v1 Show Me the Money season 5 against BY as a guy called J-Dub, and he was not that good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I can't imagine. But like, yeah, it's the first time I heard him was on JJK and Diplo's Occam's Razor, and I think he's on that Medici Effect.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, like this guy sounds really good on this type of like boom bap beats. He has a really good voice for that. And then that was the first time I heard him. And then he had talking about that album they just came out with like literally like the other day. That is perfectly exactly my style of hip hop that I've been into this year. And so I was like, oh hell yeah, I really like this. I want to go back. I know I've listened to some of those orchestra stuff earlier in the year, and like the Sungin is his name?
I think Sungin.
Sunjin. I listened to that record, and it's really dope. But I think for me this year was very like old man, dusty, traditional hip hop sound. So I like that stuff. So the experimental I'm always down for. So I checked it. I always check that stuff out, but it's not something I really listen to. But this guy, I'm definitely gonna be checking for what he's gonna be doing in the future, because I think that's the best thing about having like with the Rookie of the Year award is that more of the potential rather than what they kind of did in the year, for me at least. So, but yeah, he's dope. I'll definitely be checking for him.
100%. I don't want to go ahead and say he's like already perfect off the bat, but like at the same time, there's a lot of potential here for like for a really good rapper to really go above and beyond. I don't know. All right, cool. Who, KME, is your Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, so for my Rookie of the Year is an R&B singer, and her name is Heijin. She is fairly new. I actually came across her for the first time on TikTok earlier this year, late last year. And she did put out a couple singles, but those were all compiled into her debut EP, which is called What a Shame. Very kind of, she's an independent R&B singer songwriter, writes all her stuff. I believe she's a student at NYU currently.
Oh wait, really?
And yeah. So I'm like, dude, with all the stuff that she's done this year and her being a full-time student is kind of crazy. Her vocals are really, yeah. She has like a really soft but powerful voice. I know she's talked about SZA and like Amy Winehouse as being big inspirations. So if those are up your alley, she's very much in the same vein of those. And her lyrics are really great because they're very honest. Kind of brutally honest type. Like she's talking about like, I mean, you're showing the picture right now where Alva, she has like a knife, and it's like kind of like that. Oh, the ex that you hate type of like very SZA-y, that type of R&B. So I really like it. She dropped, like I said, a bunch of singles this year in addition to that EP, and she's even dropping a new song I think coming up on the 29th. And but yeah, it's just crazy. Like in addition to all her music, she's had a great social media presence. Like she kills it on TikTok with making videos promoting her stuff and all that. And then she even like did a run of her own merch that I bought. I bought like a little keychain that she made.
Oh, that's so nice. Wait, she's like,
yeah,
shit, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, dude, it's crazy. And a lot of the work she does is like with like classmates. Like I think her classmates help her with like production and like mastering and like management and all that stuff. So it's really cool because it's cool to see like an independent artist like that really put in the work. So I think that's the main reason. I'm like, damn. In addition to the music, it's all the other stuff as well. So, and like I was talking about with Dub Doobie, it's more of the potential. Like what I'm already seeing, if this is what she can do at this level and this stage of like early stage of her career, I'm just super interested in and I don't know what the word is like. I'm anticipating like how much further she can go in the future. So yeah, so that's what the golden Soju goes to. It's Heijin. Check her out.
I remember running into her on TikTok, I'll be honest, and a lot of people, including myself, and we have this, a lot of people have a bit of unfair bias, I think, towards like TikTok musicians. And I think there are certain artists who kind of played into that. And I definitely think she's one of the people that kind of had me shift my mind this year a little bit. Like between January 1st, 2023 and right now, I think that's been one of the biggest shifts is like, okay, I should probably take some of these people actually seriously. I remember checking out her album at some point, and it sounded there was definitely a layer of like I am very well put together. Like even though like I don't want to use the word mature, but I feel I can't really think of another adjective besides it. It's a little bit mature, but at the same time it's very playful. That debut EP of hers, and I was like, okay, like this is this is pretty cool. I had no clue, however, that she went to NYU. Like, oh man, like
yeah, it's crazy.
Man. That's a two job hustler right there. I don't know how you do that. Hyejin, go check out our debut EP. What a shame. 5 tracks, 13 minutes only. I mean, everybody has 13 minutes, I think. Cool. All right, let's move on to label of the year. Do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, sure. So for my label of the year, it's kind of it came out of left field for me, to be honest. But it's a label called In Planet Music.
Ooh.
And it's an old school label that's been around since like 2008. They probably the biggest names that people know maybe is Waji, used to be there for a while. And then R&B singer Boney, she's been on there since like I think the early days, like 2010, but she's like a really great R&B singer from the 2010s.
Ooh.
But this year for label, I honestly was even contemplating not even giving one for label of the year because it felt like I was giving one out of obligation. Not because I really like messed with their music the whole year. It was just kind of, oh yeah, this label they put out a lot and they did a good job, but it wasn't like I listened like AOMG was probably one of them where like there was a lot of great releases from AOMG, but I didn't really, a lot of them didn't really stick with me. But
Same.
At the end of the year, when I was doing my review, I'm like, dude, every single artist from this label pretty much put out maybe like just a single, so it's wasn't a lot of stuff they put out, mainly a handful of singles and all that, but I was like every single one I loved and I listened often. The main one being an R&B singer named Gunny. She is she's kind of having a little bit of a moment this year on TikTok as well with doing like live covers and like videos of her singing in the park and all that stuff. But yeah, she's probably one of my favorite voices in R&B right now. Damier is another one. He just came back from the military.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Damier's on this label. I know I remember you really like that Sandwich Artist album from a couple years back.
Oh yeah, that was good.
But he's really good. He's one of the Flat Shop dudes. And he's kind of has a really groovy, kind of similar to like maybe Crush or like Otis Slim kind of stuff. And he put out a couple of singles. And the third one is an R&B duo called Wee Wee. Spelled like French, like Oui.
Interesting.
So they're like an R&B vocal duo. I'm pretty sure people have seen their stuff because it's like their artwork is always like a anime ish kind of stuff. But it's two ladies, Blooney and Majin. I want to say her name is Majin. And so they put out a great few singles, and in addition to that, they each put out a really good single themselves. Yeah, I like that one. Blooney, she had a song earlier this year called "Romantic Cliche" that was stayed in my daily rotation throughout the whole year, and it was one of my favorite songs of the year as well.
Oh wow! Wait, what's it called again? Booney?
Blooney, blue, like the color blue with NY at the end.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and she's like one of the members of Wee Wee.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, and in addition to that, there was Wilcox. Wilcox is on there. He released some singles.
He's good too. Yeah.
Artist named Jungxia, Che Cello, and Bobe are two other ones. But I know Boney, of course, as well. She had a single on there as well. But just as a collective, I think that's why I wanted to give them the recognition as a label, because just them as a whole, I really mess with. Even if there's not one, full album or EP that really stood out. It's like everyone was on kind of on their game and putting stuff out that was consistently good. So more of a quality over quantity type thing. So that's why they're my label of the year, In Planet Music.
Gotcha. It's been I'll be honest, I haven't heard of In Planet Music being discussed in a long time. In fact, I think the last time I heard them being mentioned was before Hwaji went to VMC, because he used to be a part of In Planet Music, if I recall correctly. And then
Yes.
and then for a while I forgot about them. And then I saw them come up in your end of the year discussion, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I will definitely have to go check out all of these artists, because besides Damie, I'm not really familiar with any of these folks. Damie, I recall, had an album called Sandwich Artist about a guy who works at Subway. And he's like, kind of not having the best time of his life as the star musician he wanted to be. So clearly, if he's around, I'm sure these other artists are a lot of great talent as well. So I will go check out all of these after we record.
Yeah, definitely if you're like into the more chill, maybe a cafe kind of style R&B, it's definitely right up your alley.
Ooh, that is the kind of R&B Korean people are really good at. So I should go check it out. Okay, cool. All right, moving on to my label of the year is AP Alchemy. That's AP as in AP classes, and Alchemy as in, making gold out of nothing. So AP Alchemy came to the spotlight earlier this year as the collective of several labels that Swing Zones. That's Just Music, Indigo Music, We the Plug Music, Sugar Beats, and then Minefield Records. 5 different companies and one big collective. I still don't understand why he was actually trying to put it all together. But if you think about all the Korean hip hop labels that were like wildly popular in the early 2010s, that would be people like Highlight, Illinois Records, VMC. I'm not gonna throw AOMG in there because they're a whole different monster of their own. But those companies were wildly popular. And in the last couple of years, we saw Illinois kind of, disappear. We saw Highlight disappear. And earlier this year, we saw VMC kind of take the same route as well. So I fully expected. I was like, okay, Just Music had a fun run. Geary Boys definitely not interested in all this rap shit anymore. They're gonna go their own ways. And instead, they came back with this wild 2-part album, AP Alchemy Side A, Side P, which totals up to, I think, like 110 minutes or something. And I was like, okay, like this is fucking stupid. I don't know why they're doing this. And I can't say all the songs on there are amazing, but at the same time, there's a lot of great bangers. I became instantly interested in so many new rookies. I was persuaded that certain rookies that I didn't like maybe are actually really good. Like the kids in Okashi Gang. I was like, they don't know what they're doing. Clearly, after listening to these albums, I changed my mind. Same goes for this other kid called K Smart Boy. This is a stupid little high school kid who's going around saying Earth is flat. That's his whole gimmick. And his music sounds like Roblox trap music. And I was like, okay, this fucking stupid kid. He's just having fun, whatever. And then he shows up on side P with like the craziest verse that I've heard in a long ass time. I was like, wow, like I am convinced. I'm convinced that there might be a part 2 of a lifespan to what Just Music started about 10 years ago. I became fully convinced. I loved their 2-part album. Lots of great activities from these guys this year, like the Hemin Song album, Okashi Gang album, Kid Millie album. Upgrade 5 was supposed to drop this year. That didn't happen, but that's fine. A lot of people are saying Swings should be getting Artist of the Year because of all that, but I think it's definitely been a collective effort. What they did, I think, was pretty cool. So I think that's where my label of the year Golden Soju goes to. AP Alchemy. If you want to check out some of their music, I would go look up AP Alchemy Side P. You're gonna get some experimental trap bangers, and I hope you like them. How do you feel about AP Alchemy, Kami?
It's definitely impressive, like, to see what they've done. What Swings has been able to do. It's like been collecting these artists like freaking Infinity Stones and shit. And it's like all these more like labels like Infinity Stones. But yeah, it's definitely I like the same with you. I'm with the music that they put out. It was okay. Like, I was very cool. There's some tracks I really liked, some I don't, and then overall I was just kind of like, okay, cool. I listened to that. But there's definitely the great thing about it being such a big umbrella is that there's, even if you don't like these group of artists, you got like you said, Kashi Gang is. I really like their 2 projects. They're doing something unique and interesting and it's really fun. And I feel like Raf Sandow is his name.
He's good. I saw him live too. He was great.
Yeah, he's probably one of my favorite of the new rookies. But yeah, it's crazy. Swings has definitely got an ear for talent, and that's undeniable. My favorite thing they probably did this year was sign Yoon Dahae. I think that's how you say it. She's been around as a singer for quite a bit, collabing with like Park Moon-chi and Kirin at 8 Ball Town and all that. But it's great to see her kind of do her own thing as a soloist. So I'm really anticipating one of her projects to come out hopefully next year. But yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite things that they did, and she was great on some of the tracks like Sweat. At the end, I will say, at the end of side P, there's a song called Begin End, and it's just her with a weird like dubsteppy trap breakdown in the middle of it.
That track
but then the
goes
end
everywhere.
is just like this. Yeah, it's nuts. It was probably in my top 5, I think, for Song of the Year.
Wow.
Just because it's so, I listened to it so much out of those compilations, and it was just, yeah, just go to listen to it, and then especially like the end, like 5 minutes where she's just singing over like almost like a church choir type live instrument band, and it's just nuts. So that was definitely my favorite. Yeah, and it's like they got some of my favorite artists. Duty, ESO had put out some great stuff and did some great things on the compilations. Bamsem, one of my favorite singers as well, doing good stuff. So, and of course the Kid Millie album, Beige, was one of probably my second most listened to hip hop album this year. So just the whole thing is it's like I said, it's overwhelming. It's impressive. I think objectively, if I were to say a label of the year, it's got to be like I don't see them not winning at the K Hip Hop Awards label of the year. So So definitely, it's cool.
I'll be honest, it's a low hanging fruit for me to pick up. I'll be honest. But like,
Yeah, but
so yeah, keep on.
no, it's just that it's it's like I said, it's kind of like it's the undeniable like truth. So it's it's good that you mentioned them because I think they deserve absolutely to be talked about. But like I said, it's kind of like with them, AP Alchemy, AOMG put out a lot of stuff, and even Ambition put out a lot of stuff.
They did, yeah.
And it's just it was like, oh yeah, cool. I like that and listen to, but it was just kind of wasn't. I wanted to highlight something a little bit this. So I think we got a good mix here of both ends of the scene, if you will.
Very opposite ends of the spectrum. I like what we did here. Like on a side note, like I was gonna change some of my like. This is not cool, but like I was gonna change some of my nominations if we overlap too much, and I'm like very glad we like barely overlap. And I was like, oh, good. I don't have to lie on the show. Like it's going great. Cool. AP Alchemy and In Planet Music, they win Label of the Year 2023. Okay, cool. Let's move on to Producer of the Year. This award goes to two of the producers who I think do a really good job of making some great ass beats, some good music in terms of the production of these songs and albums. So I'm gonna go first this time, since you went first last time, and I'm gonna choose a guy called Fake Human Being. What a weird name. Not a lot of information is out about this guy. I'll be honest. In fact, I couldn't find his face online. So I had to pull out the album cover of the album he produced that I really liked. So he was the executive producer and the director of an album called Propaganda X by Odomar. The whole album is a compilation of this guy Odomar's message about propaganda, media, nationalistic media, social media, online media, traditional media. And I think Odomar does a great job of writing the lyrics and whatnot. He's always been a very lyrical rapper. But I think what really sold me on the project was the incredible production that went into the album. Like, because of the theme, which is very, propaganda-y, it has a very Big Brother, has a very Y2K, but in a dark 1984 kind of way vibe to the whole album. There's this whole intro sequence where Piggitin, the featuring artist, is doing like a melodic vocal intro into a choir, into a banging industrial rap beat. And I think that stuff like that is a great job of portraying the message acoustically right off the bat, and it helps you draw a picture immediately. This cold, futuristic, dystopian world that you're kind of looking at. And I think as a producer, that's what you got to do. You got to set the tone, you got to set the scene incredibly well. And I think Odomar tends to be a rapper who is not like acoustically the best to listen to, but because the beats, I think this album becomes an incredible fun beat to listen to, fun album to listen to. I can pick one of the tracks I want to talk about a little bit, but did you check out this album by any chance? Propaganda X by Odomar, produced by Fake Human Being?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did. I listened to it a couple times, and it's just, man, yeah, like everything you said is just pretty crazy. I'm glad you laid that out, because I just listened to it, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck did I just listen to? So I was like not really thinking of digging deep into the meanings and all that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely it's like I kind of related to how 250's album last year for me was, where I'm like, I'm listening to this is overwhelming and it's amazing, but I'm not sure exactly how I feel, or like I need to dig deep and stay take a little more time with this album. Because it definitely feels like a lot. So
it's a lot. Yeah.
I want to re-listen to it now that you kind of gave that little background of the message in there. But yeah, really dope. I can see why you could pick this as your producer, because I think that was the most right off the bat. I mean, Odomar's been around for a while, and he's more than a proficient rapper. I think so. Definitely, what stood out to me the most, it was the production, because it takes a lot of kind of crazy turns. So, yeah, really dope album.
Lots of crazy turns. There are like moments when the song is trying to replicate the sound of city pop or like K-pop. That's really cool because he's obviously trying to do it in the context of this album, and you can't just put out a K-pop beat in the middle of a rap album. What stood out to me as his like best moment as a producer is a skit in the middle of all this called "Ad." This is track 5, and essentially, what happens in that track? There's there's an English message about it's the golden time. Humanity needs to work together to save ourselves from the environmental crisis. There's a whole jig about what modern society should do to save ourselves before it's too late. You get the whole gist of it. On top of all that, there's a Korean narration that's saying everything that the English voice is saying in 180. Like it begins with humanity must come together, but we will overcome all of our troubles like we always have. Environmental crises, some people say it's too late, but I think we're gonna do a great job of overcoming all that. And I think that's a very great example of like showing what the album is really about in a very short span of time. Stuff like that I think is done really well. So if you're into dark dystopian beats, check out Propaganda X, produced by Fake Human Being, by Odomar, the rapper. Cool. Moving on. Who is your producer of the year, Kami?
So for my producer of the year is a little man named. Well, I don't want to say little man. Freddy Kaso is Freddy Kaso, man. Yeah. I was a dude named Freddy Kaso, formerly of VMC. Rest in peace to VMC, which shut down earlier this year. You mentioned that briefly, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I think even last year you could have made an argument for him being at least in the top 5, top 3 for producer of the year, and he just took that same momentum and just fucking turned it up by 10 this year. Not only in terms of like quantity, which I counted, and he has production credits on 16 releases.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So 16 different releases this year. He has production credits on, and 7 of those releases he was the sole producer on, whether they're albums or EPs, which is nuts. And I think it's even one. You add one more if you're adding in the first QM and Freddy Kaso little EP that he did at the end of the last year. And yeah, just nuts. And the crazy thing about it is like, okay, this dude can do so much, but it can't all be great. And to me, I listened to every single one, and I was excited every time a new one was announced. And I love them to varying degrees, obviously, but some really great stuff like Sun Simba's Double Cross Musashi, really good album.
Did you do that
one of my favorites. Yeah, he sole produced that one. He also did Ambit Jack, who is like probably my runner-up for Rookie of the Year. He did his first debut album, Freudian, which came out a few months ago, and is actually the first. In addition to all these production credits, Ambit Jack is the first new artist on Nazca Records, which is QM and Freddy Kaso's new record label that they started after the closing of VMC. So in addition to that, he's doing all these projects and now starting the label. And it's just super impressive. If you're into... I don't like to compare a lot to Western artists because a lot of times that can get corny. But I have no qualms with calling this guy like the Korean Alchemist. Because very, very similar production. I know he definitely takes inspiration from Alchemist, legendary hip hop producer in the West, and has very much the same style of just kind of taking these really obscure loops and stuff you would never think of, and just kind of layering them. But he's also that was his main style this year, but he can do all kinds of stuff. Like his older stuff, like with VMC, is just super bassy and heavy stuff, like kind of trap-esque. But this year he really dug into that, like this year and last year, that underground, kind of grimy, dusty, like sample loops type of producing that Alchemist is known for. So I definitely feel comfortable calling him that. But yeah, man, super impressive. Just absolutely, like I said, that's been my bag this year, is in both Western hip hop with like underground stuff and in Korean hip hop. So definitely all that. But yeah, that's the list, right? HS, yeah, Young Jaundice just released a album called Crossbreed. Really, really good. Probably one of my favorites. And yeah, man, it's crazy how much stuff he did with QM. Yeah, Sun Simba, Erde Jinju, that record was pretty good. Yeah, just an insane amount of production and without compromising the quality. So, what do you think? Did you like any of these?
No. So this is. I remember picking up Freddy Kaso a while back because he was on the credits for QM's debut album, and then they've kind of stuck together as QM and Freddy Kaso both joined VMC, and then they kind of left together to their own thing. I was like, okay, these guys are clearly best friends because they've done 2 EPs together at this point. I think in the amount of albums you mentioned, I think a couple albums stick out. One is his 2 collabs with QM, Empire State Motel and Room Service. Those 2 were great stuff. Yeah. Occam's Razor with Deep Flow and JJK. I don't know how involved he was in that album as well, but he was great there.
I think he produced like 2 tracks. Okay. I want to say
that's still a lot. It's not a long album. What I can say is Alchemist of Korea. Yeah, that's a little corny. I'm not gonna lie. I'm fucking with you. I think actually that's probably a really good comparison, because especially recently with this whole renaissance of boom bap music, he has been one of the better producers to like pick up samples and sample it in ways that are like really fucking cool. As well as like I said earlier, I think what a producer needs to do is really set the tone in terms of like what's going on. And I think the Room Service intro is like very simple. It's kind of funny, but it really stood out to me as like, okay, this is what we're going for. We're really making it clear that this is a sequel to Empire State Motel. Because the whole album is like, I don't know where he got the recording from, but it's a skit between a guy who comes in and he's like, I would like another room, and the lady's like, oh, you mean like the one next to yours? And he's like, no, I just want to show me the map. I'll pick a fucking room. Yeah. And the lady's like, why don't you just fucking pick the room next to you? And it's got 2 double beds. And I was like, okay, like,
yeah. 2 double beds.
2 double beds.
That's actually a clip from No Country for Old Men. That's Josh Brolin.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it's from. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, I know this, but yeah, it's from a scene where he's trying to get another room because he hides like the money that he in the AC vents, so they're across from each other, kind of thing. So I was like, oh, that's what that's from.
He's trying to hide money. Okay, I mean that makes sense because like one of the key themes in Room Service is QM dealing with like him going on mainstream media for the first time and showing the money. So he has money. He's got to hide. I don't know. To it. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, he's definitely known for doing like Freddy Kaso's like a lot of his samples are from like, you know, those type of like Scorsese and like Tarantino movies, and he drops those in pretty effortlessly. In addition to like, you know, old school soul beats that you like from songs you probably never heard of, and I know like a lot of the criticism with that type of production is like, oh, it's just boring and simple, and I'm like,
is it
maybe to I know that's, I was like, to some people I may be listening to like just a dude rapping verses with no hook or anything like that over the same loop, but I know because I've tried it. Like, try to find a loop like that and then cut it up and sample it just in the perfect way. It's not that easy to make it sound good, and then now do that like 100 times throughout the year. So it's very impressive. I just was blown away. So there's no other. I think the only person that comes close to me this year is Vian, because he did a lot of great stuff. He dropped an album and he worked on like all the 30 Crew releases and like compilations of his own. But yeah, just no question in my mind, Freddy Kaso, producer of the year for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, if you're still listening to this episode, you probably like hip hop music, and a lot of people who like hip hop music try to make it on their own at some point, and then like a lot of like this applies to me too. Like, this is why I'm saying all this. Like, we get like pirated versions of fucking FO Studio, like fucking 11 somewhere. And then you like try, find loops off of YouTube to sample. And then like after like 3 hours of trying, everyone just gives up.
Yeah. Exactly. That's me. That's exactly me.
No, same. Like, it's I as someone who makes music as a hobby, there's a reason I don't sample shit. It's not because of sample clearance. It's like it's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard.
Really well. But yeah, Freddy Kaso, FREDICASSO. Go check him out. Is there one album or song that you want to recommend from Freddy Kaso, KB?
Ooh, I'll do album. I want to say Freudian by Ambit Jack. He's like a newer dude that just come out recently. Especially if you just like boom bap, straight rapping. Really, really good stuff. Song. Yeah, all of them.
That's how you know it's a good album. That's how you know it's a good album. Freudian by Ambit Jack. What a grimy looking cover art, man.
Yeah,
I personally have not checked out this album in this long list of albums. I think I've checked out most of these, and this is the one I haven't. So I will go check out Freudian once we're done.
Oh, actually, I know we just said anything after December 1st, but that new Young Jaundice record. It has a song called MTL for Montreal. Like he's talking about like a girl he met in Montreal, from Montreal. That one I love. It has a really classic kind of R&B soul sample, just kind of looping in the back. While Young Jaundice is one of my favorite rappers this year as well. So that's the song I'll recommend. MTL by Young Jaundice.
Off of his album Crossbreed. Am I getting that right?
Crossbreed, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll go check that out as well. I haven't checked out Young Jaundice in a while. I also remember at some point there was a Freddy Kaso is my producer collab album with Kits Yoji.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. I'll be honest. Just check out any of these. Just check out that one.
Yeah, and that's more for Kits Yoji can kind of get in the weeds of doing his thing, but he's good when he can be.
I like him.
Yeah, that one was kind of
right. Cool. All right. We're going to move on to hip hop track of the year. This is one track from hip hop, Korean hip hop music. All of this year, you're going to choose one song, 4 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute. I don't care. You're going to give me one song you like the most. Kami, do you want to go first?
Sure. So my hip hop track of the year is going to be a song called Trippy by Benzino. The long awaited comeback. Get the album.
Album.
Special edition too.
Oh man, yeah. I don't.
Is that cover better for you?
I don't know. I have trouble showing this to other people. Like, like it's like a random white girl.
I'm not a weirdo.
In a purple like swimsuit. Like, I don't want to go around looking like I have pictures of women in swimsuits in my room. Good lord. I hope you're listening to this on audio, guys. Anyways, Benzino, Trippy. So tell me.
So with my tracks of the year this year, I kind of decided just to go off the numbers, and I went on my last FM to see how many times I played this song, and across both the studio album version and the single version, I nearly played them 200 times. 192 plays across both. And it's just, that was partly me going a little bit of rabid on the hype of Benzino finally releasing an album.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
So I think that definitely played a big part into it. I started KME in late 2016, and his last album, 12, came out, I think, earlier that year. So literally the whole time I've ran K Music Every Day, there's never been a Benzino album, like just maybe a couple of singles and his features. But so this was like a big moment, and so finally when he dropped this single, I remember you talked about it too on the main show, and it's funny because when it came out, it's like him doing this weird high pitched voice over just a very generic YouTube type beat, and I for me, it could be the hype speaking, but I'm like, this was the dopest fucking shit I've heard, and it was just so nice to hear Benzino rap again. In terms of the content of the song, it's really cool because he's kind of flexing in a Benzino specific way, but also kind of just marveling at how trippy. That's why it's called trippy. Like what a trip his life has become since like all his success and returning from the military. And like at one point he's talking about like, damn, like I'm sitting across, or I'm across the street from Trippie Redd and Kodak Black. Like what is my life's a trip right now? And like I said before, I kind of preferred the single version that's kind of weirdly mixed, and it has a different ending to the studio album version.
Yeah.
But I have to point out with the studio album version is much more polished. He's not doing the high pitched kind of processed vocals on there, and it has a feature from is it Lance Skywalker on this one, or no, Cassius Clay.
I think
is it this one? I can't remember
Lance
now.
For
Lance Skywalker.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Lance TDE rapper Lance Skywalker has a little bit of verse at the end, and then it has this kind of ending where like it's just like a swirling, trippy type of weird, just slow down beat section, and I think that was really cool in the studio album version because the whole time he's talking about, man, like look at all this success I have and what a trip my life has become. And then it feels like that ending is kind of him kind of looking back on that and realizing like, whoa, what a whirlwind, like, and overwhelming all that has been. So that's one of my favorites. Like I said, I just had it when it came out, it just on loop, nonstop. And then even when the album came out, I was like, I'll probably be skipping that song. It just never skipped it.
This year and like late into last year has been like a redemption arc for Benzino of sorts. One of the critiques that Benzino has been getting in the last like decade or so, good lord, a fucking decade, is that he is a great rapper, a great fashion icon, great at selling hoodies, but also he's not he doesn't have a lot of good albums. 12 was kind of mixed. 24, 26, like people like songs off of it, but people are like, as an album, I don't know. Jazzy Fact was also like received really well. So like that's the first Jazzy Fact album was like what, like fucking like 2010 was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a hot minute. So like people are like, okay, what is this guy gonna do? What is this guy gonna do? And they started dropping these like demos onto like SoundCloud. Or like YouTube, was it? I forget. And look, this was the first time I downloaded music from YouTube in a long ass time.
There was a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, and like even with like we'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk more about the album soon. But like one of the tracks called "In Bed," he performed at a performance. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to download that, de-reverb it, de-noise it, make it clear, re-EQ it. So on my phone, I had this like shitty fake audio version of a performance he did, which has been great. That all shows, I think, how much of the hype you're writing. And Trippie was definitely the moment, like the shifting point where I was like, oh, he's not doing the polished pop rap that he used to do back in like, you know, with 12, right? Because like if you listen to that album, it's very well polished, it's very clean, it's very funky, it's very colorful in terms of music. And he comes back in these several years, and it became a very low fidelity, very vintage, very grimy, slightly pissed off, very self-reflective artist. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. I actually, it's kind of similar to you. I kind of prefer the single cut version where it's like up a pitch or two the whole track. I like the fact that he used the type beat. I like how shitty the mix was. I like how it was like up a pitch, like, because all of that feels like it really feels like he's saying, I don't give a fucking shit anymore. I just don't fucking care. Because I'm just that good. And that's, I don't know about you, that's the proper attitude of a good fucking rapper.
Yeah, give me any type of beat and he'll run on it.
I'll just fucking run on it. I'm so glad about how this track turned out. I actually like the album version too. I don't care that much for Lance, but I do like how the beat kind of slows down and it goes into like this trance kind of like kind of mode for a while.
Yeah. Like an actual trip, like acid trip at the end.
Yeah. Not that I've done acid, so I wouldn't know, but hey, maybe he has.
I feel like
I'm sure.
Based on how this song and album came out,
look at the
probably,
cover.
He's adventuring.
Yeah, he was on some shit when he made this cover.
And the cool thing about it too is like when it released, I think he had it. It was like kind of like in GIF form, so it was all like even more trippy and like swirling and shit. So,
all right, Beans and O, trippy. If you haven't checked out that track, I don't know what you're doing. Go check it out. Moving on to my hip hop track of the year, I have AP Alchemy Step Back Bitch because I'm too high. B bitch is censored into B asterisk 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 because it's shortened to cuz, and Fi, not fire, Fi, FYE. I don't know. They're trying to be cool here. This is the final track on the A-side two-part AP Alchemy album that I talked about earlier. It's produced by Soju. It features Swings, Kid Millie, Yunhui, Raf Sando, and Iso. And for the most part, it's an industrial trap track. And then near the end, it becomes this kind of like Jersey break beat kind of track as Iso starts doing her little vocal verse thing. I just think the verses are incredible. The rap is incredible. The beat is just banging. And this comes as a surprise to me. Because especially with the two kids from We Da Plug, formerly on We Da Plug, on this track, we have Soju as the producer and Yunhui as a rapper. I'll be very honest. I haven't been the biggest fan of those two. I'll be very honest with you. The Yunhui album earlier this year, I thought it was all right. Just wasn't a huge fan of it. But like her on here on this track, she started rapping her fucking lungs out, and I was like, "Okay, you got me." Her booty, yes, it looks like a pancake. I feel you. Okay, I hear you, man. Like, it's one of those aggressive trap songs that are like you have to be in the mood for, but at the same time, it hits so hard. For me, where like I have to play this when I go jogging. On the other hand, Soju, who is the main producer here, I like I mentioned earlier, I was like, he's kind of fine, whatever. I feel like he's always been better as a mixer and a master engineer. And then on this track, as well as some of the other tracks on the album, I'm listening and I'm like, okay, man, like he's something else now. Like, it really feels like he has learned how to. How do I word this correctly? Formerly, I felt like he was just using sounds for the sake of using sounds to make it sound cool and whatever the fuck. With this track, however, it really feels like he knows when to use them properly to really bring out an emotional moment. Just bring you to 100 immediately so that Yunhui can let you know that her booty, somebody's booty, looks like a pancake. I don't know. It's one of those rap songs. Do you remember this track, Kami? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's one of probably my few favorites from the side A. I definitely preferred side P overall, but
same.
Definitely out of side A, this was the like you said, the beat is just really heavy and just a straight banger, and it has pretty much a lot of my favorite artists from the AP Alchemy umbrella with Duty is one of my favorite R&B singers. Iso's on there, I think. Kid Millie, of course. No need to go further on that. And Yunwei, I've always enjoyed. Like I said, her album came out earlier this year, and it kind of came and went. But I enjoyed it for the few, maybe a week or two it came out. But she's definitely come a long way, like you said, like in terms of her rapping and all that since like Show Me the Money 8, where she was kind of heavily, yeah, it was like heavily criticized, and I could kind of get it, but I really liked what she could do. But yeah, it was like every song you're hearing about her mom's teriyaki shop chicken stuff. So, but yeah, she was definitely the highlight on these songs right here. And Seiwoo, I know his, like you said, it's kind of the same thing. I know his stuff. I know he does a lot of the production and works with Yunwei a lot. But yeah, he really knocked it out with this one. Like the bass on this one is just so. I was playing it right before we started the recording, and it was just like, man, that bass is kind of what sticks out. So definitely, like for you saying you use it when you like working out or whatever, that's like a perfect song for that.
Yeah, it brings you right up to 100. I have to correct myself. She didn't call somebody's ass a plate. Pancake. She said, let me quote her. She said, "I'm a 10 out of 10. Your B got no ass. She flat as a plate. A packet of A for paper. No way." So I don't know whose ass she's talking about, but clearly she has beef with somebody's plate ass. This is really funny because I was in Korea over the summer. And one of the things I did when I was in Korea was I went to a live show called Rap Beat. And one of the main performers of that show was most members of AP Alchemy. And I remember like this was one of the final songs they did because there's a lot of people on the album. On the track, might as well do it later when everyone's been introduced. And like not a lot of people knew about this track. Like nobody was singing along. Like for JM IM popular tracks like Indigo or like stuff like Flex, everyone was singing along. But like for this one, like there were barely any people singing along. And at a certain moment, I realized I was the only person like rapping along to this song. And then someone from behind me like tapped my back. So someone tapped my back, and the guy like kind of like did a quiet gesture, like put like down or something.
What?
And I was like, you're at a rap show, buddy. Do you want me to be quiet at a rap show? I don't understand. Like, what do you want me to do?
That's funny.
So I acted like I don't speak Korean, and I said, "What?" And then he was like, "Oh, whatever. I'm sorry, whatever."
My bad.
Step back, B, because I'm too fighty. Is the track of the hip hop track of the year for me. All right.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Oh yeah.
On something before we move on.
Yeah.
Now, on this track, Swings is on it. And earlier on, when we talked about AP Alchemy, I know we talked about Swings as a businessman. How did you feel about his rapping on these albums and overall? Because for me, I get it. I think it's cool, and we know Swings is one of the best of all time in Korean hip hop. That's undeniable. But I'm like, I could have used a little bit. A little. Take a step back, bro. Like, I know you're about your art. Like, let your artist shine a little bit here. I just feel like in my opinion, he kind of was a distraction a lot on some of the songs. So I wonder what is your opinion on that?
Buddy, you fucking hit me right where I was trying to avoid. I think we had a brief conversation about this earlier, actually. A couple months ago when Sweat dropped, if I recall correctly. I'm kind of with you. Like,
yeah,
he's
okay.
I like him. I think there are definitely tracks where I think he does really well. Chairman Freestyle, for instance, which comes right before this, is I think it's a good example of, okay, it Swings and Jimmy Page doing the rap shit, gang shit, it was whatever, fuck it, do it.
Yeah.
And then he's like showing up in all of these tracks. Like, I think he's, for side A at least, he's absent from track 4, Young Motherfuckers, and then track 7, Plum. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, buddy, I know you're the CEO. I get it. But like maybe, take it down a little bit. I'm with you. I was slightly annoyed. I was like,
Okay.
yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm not the only one. Okay.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I'll be honest with you, like people. Okay, so this is a bit of a side chat, and we can talk more about this later. As a spoiler, neither of us chose Swings as artist of the year. You didn't, I didn't. But however, he along with Bean Zeno are like very commonly mentioned as like artists of the year for K-hip hop fans this year because of the whole thing with AP Alchemy. His rap beef with Sick K, that was a whole fucking thing. And I'm like, like sure, but like as an artist and a musician, I don't know. Like he's definitely been businessman of the year. I can assure you that. And I mean that as a compliment. He's done a great job of whatever the fuck he's doing. Actually, I mean like Geary Boy left, Yunhei left, John Over left. I don't know.
C Jam last year.
Yeah, that too. That was a big loss, boy. Yeah, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yang Hangwan, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Dude, every time he's on Instagram Live, I'm worried about what he's gonna say. This guy. Did you see what he said on a YouTube video with Yu Jonglan? He was. This was an interview he did randomly in the AP Alchemy building. I don't know if you saw it. No?
I probably heard of it, but I don't think so.
Okay, so what happened was, this was before Yunhei and John Over them departing We the Plug music. Before that got publicized. So for context here, for people who might not know, under We the Plug music there is Yunhei, there's John Over. They left about a week or so ago. Geary Boy left Just Music earlier this month. All three are part of AP Alchemy. Yang Hongwon, which is also a rapper under AP Alchemy, under Indigo Music, he was on a YouTube video, and then he was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm so introverted. I don't know anybody in my own company. I don't even know if they're here for a rap lesson or if they're an artist. Like I don't know all these new people." And this is very funny. And then he goes, "Yeah, like I'm in this fucking group chat with everybody in it, and it's a constant barrage of people saying it's been a great adventure journey with you guys. I hope everyone the best," and people leaving the group chat. Like apparently, person after person, there was a long list of people leaving the AP Alchemy collective. So maybe there's gonna be more. Maybe we're gonna stop with these three kids. Who knows? But I'm like,
yeah.
Should you?
And I think, not to go off on more of a tangent, but I think it's kind of related because last year we talked a lot about her, is Kai Avant.
Oh yeah.
And she was noticeably absent from those compilations when they came out, and I was like, what the hell? Like she's probably one of their best artists. Yeah. And then she recently released a small EP, and I looked at and it looked like she had released it independently, but there was never any notice or anything. So I don't think it said AP Alchemy or Minefield under the release. And I don't think AP Alchemy, or I'm not sure if they posted it. I can't remember, but it was very questionable of whether she was still affiliated with them. So that's kind of a question. That's my big thing with AP Alchemy. Not to go off too much, but I'm interested to see how this all pans out when you have so many artists to juggle. Like now everyone's gonna be happy.
They at least have 30, 40 people in their company. Like if you count all the producers and the numerous amount of people in Minefield and whatnot. I'm with you. I don't know how they're gonna manage to juggle all this. And they're continuing to sign people. Koa White joined earlier. Yoondae, like you mentioned, joined earlier. Just a couple months ago, Don Mills joined because he left VMC. VMC.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I know, right? And I'm sure for some people it's just the management deal. I'm gonna assume that's the case for people like Don Mills. But I don't know how they're gonna manage to do all this. I don't know. We'll see what happens. For now, so far, so good. We'll see. I didn't know Kyle Vaughn released a new album. I'll be honest. Like, I'll trick that. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, that's what it came out like, and just it came out.
Didn't I choose
it's cool.
that?
It's very more chill.
Didn't I choose her as like artist, like R&B album of the year or some shit? Like, I was hype for that shit.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe I know we talked about her quite a bit last year.
Yeah, we did.
So.
All right. Well, whatever. I guess.
And it was just like, nothing.
Ugh. Okay. We'll see what happens here. All right. Tangent over. Let's move on to the last segment before we go on a break. R&B track of the year. We're gonna talk about favorite rhythm and blues track of 2023. I'll start. I'll kick this one off. And I'm going to kick it off with a song called Johnny's Sofa by J. Clef. This is off of her mini album, which I forget the title too. I should have prepared more.
I think it was called Oh Pruned.
Oh Pruned. Yes, that's what it is. It's a short 6-track, 21-minute album. Very folky, very acoustic, very guitar-y, very grimy. J. Clef is an R&B artist that came into the spotlight with her album Flaw Flaw a couple years ago. It has been kind of silent for the most part. But unlike the previous album, this album takes a very much more, especially this track, takes a very much more acoustic approach to it. And Johnny Sofa in particular is, I don't know what it is about it, but like there is this constant build of emotions throughout a, like, I don't know, like almost a 5-minute track, which for the record, like that's long for like 5 years ago. That's still fucking long for now. Like, New Jeans is over here doing like an album to double that fucking length. Johnny Sofa, for the most part, I think is a big part of it is the vibe you get of her and like 2-3 buddies, maybe 3-4, I don't know, singing together around like what feels like a bedroom, then singing together about friendship, and how they're worried about each other's futures. And it really kind of brings me back to like a moment in freshman year college where you're with this random group of friends who seem like they're gonna be your friends for fucking forever. And you know, you're just there having a shitty but also a really great time, because you know it's college, everybody's struggling, but at the same time it's like, hey, you know, we're kind of having fun, we're making the most out of it. If you're looking for that kind of emotional ride over the course of 5 minutes over J. Clef singing over these guitar beats, you should check this out. J. Clef has this I really don't want to word it this way, but she kind of sounds a little dumb, and that's what really makes it really appealing. I'll be honest with you, like her pronunciation and diction, it's god awful. But like that's what makes it so much more relatable. That's what makes it so much more emotional, because it's very unrefined. It's very raw. So go check it out. J. Clef, Johnny Sofa, best 4 minutes and 45 seconds of your life. But it's kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people. Were you able to check this out, KME?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really love this EP. But like you said, it's very raw. It feels like almost like she just released a little thing of demos that she just threw together.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, really, really great. Just nice to see her, because I mean, yeah, her last album came out 2018. I gave it, that was my album of the year that year, Flaw Flaw. And she was just kind of, she gets really, and it's like, okay, can't wait to hear more from her. And then, basically silence. It's like, and it's funny too, because I think when she released this, she was on Ashley's radio show on Arirang.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
And she even asked, like, oh, people are asking, like, where you been? And she was like, were you doing some type of meditative, you know, like, working on music and all this? She's like, I was just on Facebook. I was like, what? And then she was like, then I decided after the pandemic, like, I need to get out. So that's when she started doing music again, I guess. But yeah, like you said, I love this song. really nice, and I think you described it perfectly. Where it just kind of builds like, really starts off like just acoustic, and then it kind of builds into like this really like you do feel the emotion in it, like the way they're singing, like really great song. So definitely good pick for R&B track of the year.
This is definitely like one of my top 5 songs of the year. Go check it out. Let's move on. Kami, tell me, what is your R&B track of the year of 2023?
Cool. So for my R&B track of the year is gonna be Moon Sujin's "Never Let Me Go," and this once again I base mostly off of, like I said, the numbers. I checked it out, and there's both an English and Korean version, and I played them like 116 times over the year. This came out like right in the beginning of the year, I think January, and I threw it in my daily driver playlist, and it just never left. Anytime it came on, either version, I never skipped it. And it's a very simple, straightforward R&B song. I think funnily enough, you had a nostalgic reason for picking the J Clef song, because this kind of has a nostalgic tickle for me as well, because it has like a very 2000s Y2K-ish R&B sound with a little guitar sample going out throughout it. Very reminiscent for me of like Destiny's Child or like Monica and Brandy in the 2000s. So that type of R&B song. But yeah, this is a basic, very simple song, and she's like talking about, hey man, she's talking about like someone, you know, that she loves and wants that's far away, and then wants them to come back to her bed, and that kind of one of those type of R&B songs. And you know, it's just one of those ones that hit. So I like I said, I loved it, never skipped it. And then Moon Sujin had a really great year in general. She was doing a lot of stuff. She's not the type to release large projects. She does like double singles and lots of features, but it seemed like she was everywhere, across all kinds of projects with like Sick K, working with him, and she released a double single with him featuring on it. She worked with like producer L Like, had a really good song on there. And yeah, it just seems like she pops up in different places, and it's really great. But this was definitely one of my favorite R&B tracks of the year. And going off the Sick K thing, I don't know her labels. I know she left, or I'm not sure if she left Million Market or what her label situation is, but I definitely could see her as a part of KC Company in the future.
Ooh, does she? I don't recall seeing her on the Sick K stuff. I'll have to double check. But I'm guessing
she had
some sort of good relationship there?
She had a song with him. Yeah, she had a song with him recently, and then she had a club performance. I saw like her posting on Instagram and her stories, and Haon and Sick K were performing there as well.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, Million Market is fine, but like if you join KC, like that's coming at the level of like swagger. I don't know. Personally, I haven't really checked out her stuff after she changed her name, because she used to go by Moon at some point. I remember like on Automatic she was called Moon, and then
Right.
I haven't checked this one out. I'll be honest, I haven't checked this one out yet. So I'll have to. What kind of genre is this? You said it's like an early Y2K kind of like guitar sample dance R&B kind of vibe.
Yeah, simple like that. Something it reminds me kind of a little bit of like Say My Name type of Destiny's Child song, or Angel of Mine by Monica.
Okay.
It's like one of those. It's not slow, it's not too fast, but it's a decently paced, straightforward R&B song. So really liked it. Went the simple route with this one.
Gotcha. Well, sometimes simple is enough to get you over the line. That's Moon Sujin, Never Let Me Go, his pick of R&B track of 2023. Okay, we're gonna go take a quick break. I gotta pee. I don't know if that's too much information, but it's too late now. All right, we're gonna be back after a short break. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, SojuTalk SojuTalk Nation, this is Anita here with a quick PSA. If you would like to support SojuTalk Kpop Podcast, please like, subscribe, or follow us on whatever platform you're using. And consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/SojuTalk or donating to us at paypal.me/SojuTalk. On behalf of the crew and myself, thank you. Now back to our regularly scheduled episode.
All right, we are back from the break. We're going to be talking about some of the last remaining main sections awards of the 2023 K-Hip-Hop Awards from SojuTalk. We're going to talk about hip-hop album, R&B album, and then artist of the year. But like I mentioned, we're going to start off with hip-hop album of the year. I don't think we need to take turns on this one, because I think you and I have the same pick for this one. So do you want to go together on this one?
Yep, that's
right.
Good to me.
This is Nowitzki by Benzino. Nowitzki by Benzino. This is the fuck this cover art with the swimsuit. Goddamn.
Strike.
Goddamn.
YouTube strike.
We're gonna get fucking demonetized. But hey, hip hop album of the year. Nowitzki by Benzino. This is his second full-length album, released somewhere in the summer. I forget, like July or June or something like that. It is how long is it? It's a pretty long album, especially for these days standards. Benzino,
19 tracks, I think.
19 tracks. Yeah, no, 20 tracks with the CD tracks, and then it runs about an hour or so. Like Trippy that we talked about briefly earlier, very low fidelity, very vintage, but at the same time, incredible rap from this guy. Some incredible production. I don't know. What's your take on Nowitzki? Why is it your hip hop album of the year, my guy?
Oh, okay, man. Well, I'd say I experienced this album in like 3 waves, kind of. And the first initial one was like, oh shit, Benzino's back, hype. So that was the initial run through, and then after that, it was kind of okay. Let me sit down with this and really take it all in, and you feel the emotion and all that throughout. And then on the third wave, it was just kind of me just deep diving and just looking into the lyrics and all that, and it just the more layers I peeled back, it just got even better. So same thing. I think going off numbers, I think my last FM numbers are like over 1,000 plays on this. I went really overboard. Yeah, I was really insane with this. Like it was my go-to album. Like anytime I didn't know what to listen to, throw on Nowitzki. I can't sleep, throw on Nowitzki on loop. At work, driving, like anytime. So, and it's very rare for me, to be honest. Like besides the first initial listen of an album, I usually will go through and either shuffle it or pick the songs I like, throw those in a playlist, and then not really touch the album again. But this one, I just every time I played it was from start to finish, back and forth, like every time. So I will admit a lot of it's kind of, Benzino's my favorite rapper. He has been since I've basically been into Korean hip hop, since 2015, 2016 when I first got into it. And he's getting the other album. 12. Yeah, there we go. 24, 26, 12. Yeah.
They're both
good.
Yeah,
both really good classics, but it's like the output was really sparse, and then he went to the military and came back, and it was kind of even questionable whether he would still do music, and it would just he's doing his fashion thing with IAB studio and was really successful at that, so he probably didn't need to rap if he didn't want to, but finally I think he just needed to live a little bit of life and kind of. I remember in a lot of the interviews, he was saying that this album was basically a diary of how like shit he went through and how he felt in the years since he came back from like military, and you know he got married in that time, and so it's just kind of like a cool, really like life catch up for him, and that's the way I decided to experience. Like I know a lot of the criticisms that people were giving was that it just feels like a collection of songs. And for me, I'm like, that's kind of the point of it.
That's
like,
what you need, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad we got 19 songs. Like it would have felt really bad to be, you know, gone for 6-7+ years and then only give like a 5-10 track EP or album. You know what I mean?
And imagine being gone for like 5-6 years, and then you drop a measly single, Mr. Dean.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that's another bad.
I mean,
like I said, it's definitely like you said. That's probably the main theme of all artists. Like we've talked about J Clef already, Benzino. That feels like a lot of like even with R&B stuff like Crush came back, Dean, Zion T. Yeah. So it's definitely been a big theme. I think a lot of artists are feeling more comfortable releasing stuff after the pandemic and all that. So, but yeah, I really love this album. Like I said, every single track I love. I go back to. I never skip. It's still in my daily playlist that I play on loop. And yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, man?
Buddy, I'm with you. Like, if you look at my Spotify Wrapped of the year, it's like all New Jeans and Beans in it. That's it. It's like,
yeah, same.
Yeah, like first track is New Jeans OMG, fifth track is New Jeans because that's the beginning of the album, and then you have 2, 3, 4 Beans in O, track 8 Beans in O with Stinky Kiss. Like you can tell where I was going with this. Like there's lots of Beans in O here. For those of the people at home who might not know who he is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. He is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper's favorite rapper. He has been one of the few rap stars, and I say that word very deliberately. He has been one of the biggest rap musicians that have satisfied the general public. He has satisfied rap fans. He has satisfied critics. He makes a lot of money. People think he is fashionable. People think he is good looking. People are jealous of his beautiful girlfriend. People were like, oh, like Beans Ditto, like, you know what I mean? Like he's a celebrity. At the same time, he's an incredible rapper. If I had to pick a rapper who is just great at rapping and the best at it in Korea, this guy, hands down, easy peasy, great flow, great understanding of what Korean as a language sounds like. To the point where he has done so many things to like influence all the artists right now. The way they're writing their rhymes, the way their flows are done. There were several, dare I say, many Beans Ditto copycats in the last like 10 years. So this guy has clearly been incredibly influential. The thing that stuck out to me when I first heard Trippy, which is, you know, your song of the year as well as the pre-release for this album, was that as well as when I heard what's the second called Monet, MONET, I listened to it. I was like, this guy's the way he raps has changed, especially with this album. It felt a lot more like the way he utilizes Korean language is relying a little bit less on how it sounds naturally, and more so on how he can use it as a tool to get out a specific sound. That's the impression I was getting from Monet. That's kind of the impression I was getting from Trippy. Less so in tracks like Travel Again or like In Bed. But it's crazy how he is such a good rapper to the point where he has like influenced everybody. But he kind of got bored of that. And he like evolved himself even further. You know what I mean? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Same with you. This album, I think the biggest appeal of it is that it is not a concept album. It's not a plot-driven album. It's more so a collection of stories, a collection of, you know, his perspectives. And a lot of it comes in such an appealing way. Such a relatable way, too, where, like, okay, it's clearly unfortunately, I'm not like waking up, giving a stinky kiss to a blonde wife. Like, that's not what I'm doing in my life right now.
To a model, you know.
Yeah, no. However, I feel his sentiments. I understand what he's going for. It's a lot less of him trying to convince me or persuade me that his lifestyle is great, but more so, I haven't experienced exactly what he's experienced, but I kind of vibe with it. One of the tracks that stood out later in the album was a track called Sanso, which is an interlude. And that track came on. So Sanso, for context, means grave in a formal way in Korea. And that track came on when I was in Korea, and I was like on the train down to visit my grandmother's grave down in Gyeongju, and I was like, oh shit, like he's also going to his grandmother's grave in a mountain somewhere like that he has never been to, and he feels this emotional disconnect with parts of his family, and that's how I feel about parts of my family too. Like, it's very personal, very relatable, however. I mean, and I think that's what makes it really great. The beats are incredible. Like, it's also like all over the place, but it's very held together in this vintage low fidelity aesthetic, if you will. And I think that's he's done just an incredible, crazy job there.
Yes. And the cool thing about it is that he specifically left Korea to where was it, like Sweden and like Amsterdam. He left there. He got different producers outside of Korea for most of the album, and I think that's a testament to how the album came out, and it sounds so unique. Like, there's nothing in Korean hip hop that sounds like this.
No.
And I think that was his overall goal, because he was like, I just don't want to do. I think that in the single version of Trippy, he ends it with like, I'm done with the copying shit. I don't want to do that shit. Like, I don't want to do anything, the same stuff anymore. So he rarely went outside the box. He's like, a lot of these producers I never heard. And like you said, he went outside the country. He raps about traveling a lot, like in Travel Again. That's like a song all about traveling and the experiences you that change you over those times.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's just that was the cool thing that really made it stand out and be unique. And definitely going back to how you were saying with the relatability, that was one of my favorite things when I got deeper into the lyrics and stuff. I want to shout out this Tumblr page user called Boo-Skoo-Woo.
How do you spell this? How do you spell this?
Is BOO SQOO WOO. That user on Tumblr actually went through and like literally translated into English every single that one, each track, and kind of put context in a lot of them as well.
Oh my god.
So that was like a huge resource for me, and like even sets out the themes, like really, really deep dive into. So like that made me appreciate the album. So I gotta shout them out, because that was like a huge resource, and they do a lot of other albums too as well. So if you're like me and you're not a native Korean speaker or understand it, this is a huge great resource, because like for me, like Sandman was one of my favorite songs, just from the sound. Slum produced, I love it, but then when I read the meaning behind it, it's even more beautiful of a song. He's kind of singing on it, which is different, and it's like a groovy kind of dancey type song, but like it's about him leaning on that. I guess we didn't talk about that too, like but why Stephanie is the cover is that it was basically, she was the muse for this whole album,
right?
And a lot of the songs, like the intro and all that, is kind of him talking about her and how she was by his side and helped him, and how they got married and all that stuff. And Sandman is kind of like that really nice track of him talking about, man, it's about a dude who's got sand on him. He's dirty. He's sinful and like he's fucking up, but he always has that waterfall, the water that washes away the sin and then the bad. So really, like just when like not only sonically is it great, but then when you hear the meaning, it's like, damn, that's a beautiful thing that I can relate to in my personal life with my partner and my girlfriend. So that song, and then like Change was another one. When I learned about that one, I was like, holy shit, like the layers in that one of like his mom is a famous, pretty successful famous like painter artist.
Yeah.
And so like when his parents split up, he moved with his dad to New Zealand for a while and came back, and she was always working. And then like the chorus of this, like when you hear it, you're like, oh, he's barking like a dog. That's goofy. What the hell is this song? But it's like he's like rapping the chorus hook in the perspective of his dog named Chang that was stolen and sold. And so he's kind of rapping as like the mom is coming home and the dog is excited, but it's really kind of like him like personifying himself into the dog's perspective, and it's like really him excited that his mom's finally home because he's been home alone all day watching TV. It's just once I got to that part, I'm like, dude, this is one of my not only my favorite albums of this year, but like of all time, because it's just the layers this dude puts into the art, and you can listen to it and it's like, oh, that's a good album, it sounds good, but it's hard for me as a non-speaker to really dive deep into the lyrics. And so when I get to it, it just adds a whole nother level of understanding and beauty to the album that I really love. So that's definitely like one of the main reasons I picked this album for the album of the year.
And I want to make it clear because like the two tracks you mentioned, Sandman and Change, they happen in the latter half of the album. And I think he was really clever with how this album is paced, because the first couple of tracks in the album are not that deep. They're just like, they're clear cuts about his life.
What?
Sorry, what?
No, I was just like flexing. He's just
right. Like track 2 is like it's like a very common rapper's flex on like shitty rappers. Yeah, like on his haters about the ice he's got. And like he does a really good job of like taking that slowly, step by step, into like, oh, you know, my life is a lemonade. Life gave me lemons. I made a fucking lemonade out of it. Stuff like that. Like he did a really good job of like pacing all that. And I also want to assure you, there's plenty of Korean rap fans out there who don't care about lyrics. They don't care about deep meanings. And I still assure you they like this album because he is still incredible to listen to as a rapper in general, as an MC. So, regardless of what kind of rap music you like, or what kind of hip-hop music you like, or what kind of fucking music you like, this is something I think you should definitely check out because there will be beats, rap verses, meaning, themes that I think you will probably enjoy. And if you like it enough, buy the physical copy because the CD only tracks, like I have, like they're, man, y'all missing out. I'm sorry.
Great
shit.
Morning Page I listen to a lot. The C-Jam one I just never got to because that one's purely on the CD. And you can find it on YouTube and all that stuff too. But Morning Page he released kind of right before the album, like slyly on YouTube, and I looped that one as as crazy too. But yeah, all amazing stuff, man.
Nowitzki, Abai, Beans Nowittzki. If you haven't checked out this album, you should drop this episode and go listen to that album. Like it's a fucking banger.
Now.
Yeah, just fucking do it. I don't give a shit. Fuck this podcast. Go listen to that. All right. I think we should move on. We talked about a lot about Nowitzki. Like we can. I honestly could have a whole episode about this with you, and I'm sure we could with like other people as well. But we have other stuff to get to because hip hop isn't the only stuff we're talking about today. We're also talking about R&B album of the year. We're gonna pick one R&B album that we really banged to this year. I'm actually gonna let you go first. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Cool. All right. What is your R&B album of the year?
So for my R&B album of the year is going to be Sailing by Hoodie.
Ooh.
Once again, another artist who has not really, she's put out a lot of music and singles and stuff, but not a full album since 2019, which was called Departure. And yeah, it's a beautiful, she's has a more mature, smooth, like elegant sound on this throughout this whole album. It feels, she mentioned that this was a very personal album. She kind of got in her, her feels and more talking about her personal feelings on life and relationships and stuff like that. But also I like the styling of it because it's kind of like based off the lead single Lonely. And just the whole overall vibe and her, like the way she's styled in the pictures and promos, it's like kind of like a Mediterranean, Santorini, Greece, like Riviera type vibe. So it's really nice. I really like the vibe of the album. Classic Hoodie stuff. She's working with Cha Malone on a lot of these. Jinbo, who we'll talk about later. And who else? I think the Channel 201 dudes on Blind are over there. Dowell, Nowhere, and Plan 8. And I think who was the other? Somdef. Somdef is another producer who's worked on this. Yeah, so just kind of doing the basics. Like I said, with my R&B and my hip hop is very chill, back to basics, simple, good stuff. One track I want to really, really highlight, and it was probably my runner-up for track of the year overall, not just R&B, it was So Good to Me. That is a Jimbo produced song, and it is basically a like early New Jack Swing, proto New Jack Swing, like something you would hear off of
I remember that one.
Janet Jackson, Control, or like Full Force, like early Teddy Riley stuff in the 80s.
It's got like
Just a beautiful
vocal stack.
Yeah, it's got weird.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. There's like a weird sample.
Yeah.
There's like a horse. It sounds some people I talked to, like they said it sounds like a horse, like a record screech on there. But it's very true to that 80s R&B New Jack Swing sound. This is a beautiful. I like when I was playing the album, it's such a switch from Lonely to that. I literally like gasped out loud, and I was like, holy shit! Like this is my 100% my type of vibe and my type of music that I love. And it's really great. She goes all over the place. Like Lonely is a Afro beats kind of inspired type track. And that one really speaks to her, like I said, like the matureness of this one. She's basically saying like, I'm not lonely when I'm by myself. I can travel alone. I'm content with how my life has been and where I'm at. And it's all good. Like I don't need anyone around. Like I'm good with me. So it's like a really beautiful message.
It's very healthy. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's like really, so like I really kind of understood what she meant by like, oh, this is like a more mature and personal album for her. And then a really, really cool way to end the album is actually with Again, and that song is actually it's the first time I think I've heard her on a just straight acoustic kind of ballady type song. And it's kind of like the antithesis to Lonely, where she's basically saying, she's she is lonely and like tired and lost and feels lost in a fog and can't see where the future is going, and is just kind of surviving through like a child's illusion, kind of like day to day, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like throughout the album, she's kind of showing like, okay, this is me and I'm so happy. But then at the end, it's just like, nah, like back to the loop of life. That's life. Like, we're lost again. We're starting back again. You know what I mean? So, really great. G Soul's on here. Like it's a Jimbo, not that many like features on there. PH1's on one of the tracks. Really fun. And then like I said, if you like AOMG classic Hoodie, Cha Malone's type stuff, this is definitely up your alley. But a lot of great R&B albums this year, and this one was probably the one that closest rivaled Nowitzki for my album of the year for sure.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I did check it out right before we recorded, because this actually I haven't been able to check it out. And I was like pleasantly surprised because Hoodie, even though I know she's like really talented, maybe it's because I don't see her too often. Like I kind of forget about sometimes. And man, like it is a very, very solid pop R&B production. Some of the stuff that comes out, that kind of go after this sound they're fine. They're fine. They're all right. But it's difficult to put together an album that goes so many different directions and try to pull out a mature kind of meaning behind it. So I definitely see where you're going with the description there. This is a very solid album. I should go check it out again. I'm very sad I didn't get to check it out until like this week. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, really good stuff. And then, like I said, AOMG overall like had a really great year. Loco came back after a long time of not having an album.
Oh yeah.
Code Kunst. And I just overall as a whole, like I said, I listened and loved a lot of the stuff. But it just it's kind of more of like what I expected, and I was like, oh, just more like a nice contentness from AOMG this year. And then they signed Minoi, so that was a nice little slice of fun at the end of her joining over there from 8 Ball Town, who coincidentally was at In Planet before 8 Ball Town too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she kind of started her debut on In Planet.
Interesting.
And then moved to 8 Ball, and then now AOMG. So she's been moving up the ranks. But yeah, Hoodie Sailing, one of my favorite albums. I gave Hoodie my album of the year in 2019 for Departure, and this is like very much on that par of like I said, it was top three
Wow.
for sure.
Oh wow. I also liked her EP a couple years ago, D-Day. Like that was really solid. It was very short, and I was like, man, like this could be longer. I don't know what's going on here. But
Yeah, she's really good at putting together albums, so wish she did it more.
Clearly. Why? Maybe, I don't know. What is it with these people who take forever to like drop a fucking album? But hey, maybe that's why it's so good. Definitely feel you with the AOMG shout out though. Like it's been a very solid year for these folks. Even without like people were giving these folks a lot of doubt after like, you know, the J Park departure and whatnot. But I feel you. I agree with you. Excited to see where Minoi goes with AOMG as well. Cool. All right. I'm going to talk about my R&B album of the year, and that is One by Yura. This is a very short translation of the Korean title. This is one that's stuck between parentheses. Yura is spelled with Youra. The Korean title to the album is like a lot like weirder. It is the papillae of so many different tentacles, so many different papillae of a tentacle, of several tentacles, which is like, that's a weird fucking title. Maybe she just gave up translating. Like, I don't blame her, but I mean, then again, she chose that album title. I don't know what she was going for here. This album is a alternative R&B album. It has a very jazzy, very upbeat jazzy vibe to it. And not jazzy as in like chill vibes, cafe kind of vibe. Jazzy as in like, oh shit, something's up kind of vibe. There are several tracks where it's like a very upbeat, almost creepy kind of jazzy vibe. And she goes different. She goes in several different directions as well. There's actually several different genres where like track number 6, Trapped in the Zoo, or like the final track have more of this like indie post rock kind of vibe to it. And for like tracks like Faded, it has more of a like feels like almost like a Yura interpretation of like of a Pink Panther's kind of beat. So she's clearly going all over the place, but what really holds it together is her voice, and the bass line, because the bass line is this jazzy jazz bass kind of bass line. And after listening to this many times, I don't know what she's singing about. I'll be honest with you. Like, her lyrics they sound the way it sounds in my ears acoustically. She does a really good job of choosing out, creating words and phrases that sound good to the ears. And I think that's a really great thing to do, especially when you're a person like a person like Yura, who typically does a really good job of illustrating an image. Like, if you think about her famous track, Laundry, it's a very clear narrative. It's a very clear image. Here, she takes a bit of a turn, kind of like Nowitzki, where she is like, she's drawing out pictures and images from her own life. But it's a little more abstract. She's definitely using a lot of imagery, but in terms of like metaphors. For instance, there's a track called "The Cherry Trees," and she's like singing. It's a very upbeat jazz beat, and she's singing about a pond that's eating up a cherry tree, and how the pond is the skirt, and the cherry tree sounds like the upper part of the body, and it sounds like the lake is eating the person almost, which is I don't know, very fucking creepy imagery. But at the same time, it's going off of this like kind of like bouncy, kind of like, you know, upbeat, almost like 1930s kind of like golden age kind of a jazz beat,
beboppy,
right, beboppy, and it's like it's very creepy. It's very creepy, and it's definitely become one of those albums where I keep digging into to find more layers underneath, and I think that's what's been really fun about this album. If you're familiar with her previous stuff, she has tried a lot more pop heavy stuff previously. But I'm kind of glad she took a bit of a shift with this one, because it works really well with her voice. Her voice is, I don't know, very fragile, but very firm at the same time. And it works really well here. So check out One by Yura. That's my pick for R&B album of the year. Do you know this album? Have you checked it out, KB?
Yeah, I listened to it a couple times. I wish I would have spent a little more time with it, because I've always been a big Yura fan. She's like been one of the staples in like Kami mixes since the beginning, because I've always loved her stuff. But yeah, like this album and then the last album, she collabed with a jazz band called Mandong. And I'm assuming that's who is doing a lot of the jazzy interpretations on this album. You mentioned Cherry Trees. That was probably the one standout, like my favorite track from this one.
Same.
And yeah, like you said, it's that fun jazzy beat. That's and the other songs are a little bit more heady and a little trippy, like you said. And it was just one of those albums where I'm like, I need to really sit down and chew on this one. And I just never did. So I think I definitely got to put in a playlist and like get back to it sometime. But it's a very good pick. I really like it because, like I said, I think we've been going pretty good with balancing each other out, because I picked probably one of the most pop R&B at one of the biggest labels. And then Yura is just like complete opposite end. I know a lot of people might know her, but I know a lot of people probably don't. So she's really, really great artist. And yeah, this was a really cool album. Kind of something I didn't expect, but really good stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of people. For me personally, I became familiar with her through Gear Boy because she was on Tokyo, which is the title track to Gear Boy's 8th album, 7th, 6th album, something like that. And that was like a city pop song. And that's, I thought, what she was into. But, I mean, out of left field, she drops this fucking banger of an album. So, here we go. R&B album of the year goes to One by Yura and Sailing by Hoodie. Cool. Okay. We're going to move on to the last award of the night, which is Artist of the Year. Artist of the Year goes to our pick for the one artist this year that really stood out. Did an awesome job of being an artist. Artist of the Year is pretty self-explanatory, I think. KB, who could be your K-hip hop R&B artist of the year for 2023?
So for my artist of the year is going to be Jimbo, the Super Freak.
Hey,
the legend himself. Yeah, man, I think it's one of those things. So he would have definitely for K-Music Every Day, like as my thing, I give out little end of the year favorite awards as well. and I gave my artist of the year to New Jeans because I don't think that has to be talked about.
It's
It's very apparent. Yeah, it's like everyone's, but Jimbo was definitely second on the list for me, just because he is an artist that I think deserves to be recognized. He's been a part of the hip hop and R&B scene for maybe almost over a decade at least. Maybe since the mid 2000s, early 2000s or late 2000s, and has just stuck around. And he just seems to be getting better every time. And I think I had to really go back and it felt like he was a constantly popping up throughout the year. And so I went back and I was like, okay, obviously he joined Just Music, which is part of AP Alchemy, and seemed to be very instrumental in like a lot of the creative decisions of those, especially like a lot of the production and the R&B cuts of more R&B style songs on those compilations and singles. He literally, I have to assume it's a like calculated strategy that he is the first track produced and kind of is like the first voice you hear on the first A side compilation for Future Bounce, and which is a really fun, like kind of futuristic-y type of almost a little bit of Jersey Clubbish type track with a really addictive hook. So I don't think that he was it's very fun. And he's like literally the first AP Alchemy of Survival of the Fittest, I think, was the first track they put out. And he's literally the first voice you hear. And right in the beginning, there's like you can hear someone saying something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it turns out that was Jimbo, because they were like, oh, Jimbo's on this track. I'm like, where? He doesn't have a verse or anything. But it turns out he was like in the intro of that. So I don't think that was by accident or random. And like a lot of my favorite songs on the AP Alchemy stuff, like Sweat, you mentioned before. They did a Dingo freestyle song called Lounging that had like Domini and Chilling Homie and Iso, and it was really one of those same thing, like a really fun. And it's cool to see him working with a lot of the younger artists and not only capturing the perfect vibe for them production wise and hook wise for a track with them, but also kind of keeping up. And him being like one of the older guys in the scene, it's pretty impressive. And then on the flip side of that, he has a couple other kind of projects that he's done. He started this, it's called Touch. It's kind of like a collaborative thing for artists to get together and it's bringing different artists from different realms together. And they released 4 singles this year. And it's called Touch because it's meant to be like, different artists getting together, touching together, and making music. He's on 2 of the singles called Sunlight Everywhere and Good Life with Jisoo, but there's also like Kundi Panda on there with I can't remember his name, Naji or something like that. But like it's just, that was another thing he did with his own label, Super Freak Records. And then he also collabed with another artist called Hirsch, who's like a new guy that I have not heard from before this year, on a project called Popomo, which is like he said it stands for postmodern, and it's kind of like him going back. Okay, like postmodern is getting away from tradition, so now this is postmodern getting back to tradition, and like so it's all very traditional. Classic soul R&B with live instrumentation, and they released a couple of singles, like 4 or 5 tracks, and they're really good. Hirsch is like a really great singer and songwriter, and he, Jimbo's proven his artistry on throughout his career, but he's a perfect complement on those, and very reminiscent of like Silk Sonic, if you kind of like that style, but less of exaggerated and a little memey as Silk Sonic can kind of be, where it feels like almost like a parody of that sound and that time. This feels more very grounded and traditional. So he's juggling that with those two projects, with AP Alchemy stuff, and then he's also producing and featuring on other people's works. Like we talked about Hoodie earlier. He featured on one of the tracks and produced 3 of the tracks there.
Oh shit.
He was featuring on Cafe Tape, which is Vion. He released like a little compilation for a cafe, and he featured on a song there. He featured on one of my favorite songs from the Soul Delivery album, Peninsula Park, called Magnolia. It's just so much stuff. And he even did the synthesizer on one of the songs on Beige, I think the one featuring PH1.
He did? Oh my
for Kid Millie's album.
Oh
it just feels like when I look back on it, I was like, damn, this dude has been a little bit of everywhere.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so when I kind of sat back and I was like, yeah, dude, like I really want, and it's kind of one of those things because he feels like one of those dudes that's maybe he's just singing the hook, he's just doing production behind the scenes, and like the touch stuff, it's hard to. I had to kind of really dig around and on the Instagram and stuff, but just looking at it, you wouldn't know he's behind all that stuff. So really cool. He's my artist of the year for this because I wanted to really shine a light on him and his efforts this year. When he signed to JM like 2 years ago, it was like, okay, what is he gonna do? He released a couple of singles and it was like largely silent. So I think this year was a very like him showing what he's been doing for the last couple of years and really putting that together. So just wanted to show appreciation for a legend like this guy who's done so much with Mind Combined and his own records and like all kinds of stuff. So definitely my artist of the year, Jimbo the Super Freak. Got to give a shout out to him.
He's a real mad lad. For people who are at home and are like not super familiar with hip hop and R&B, he's done a lot of stuff with K-pop too. Like he co-wrote I'm Pump Man. He co-wrote Chicken Noodle Soup, but with J-Hope. He co-wrote Pied Piper with BTS. A bunch of shit. Like
Red Velvet.
Did
a lot
Time
of
Slip.
B-sides for Velvet. Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the people who have an incredible grasp of how good R&B and neo soul music can be, and he's really good at like leading other people his way too. Like that's what I noticed with this album, with AP Alchemy, the A side, P side, and Sweat as well. I was reading the behind the scenes stuff, and it sounds like he was like guiding the whole like. It almost felt like he was like he was shepherding a bunch of sheep. Into like, okay, like you're good at this, you should focus on this. You're good at this, you should focus on this. Like, he was like almost their mentor almost, because like if you think about IMJ Meet a Plug, yes, they have a little bit of R&B in their background, but they're primarily a group of rappers, and they have not been really good at that. But with these two-sided albums, you've been able to kind of tell like, oh, like there's this whole funky side that we haven't seen so far. And I think that's been really interesting. Same with you when Future Bounce first came on with that bouncy beat and his chorus. I was like, oh, like okay, like you can definitely tell his influence is there, but it's like at the same time, it's not just Mind Combined. It's just it's his like interpretation of where he can fit into in a larger organization. I think that's really cool. Yeah, Jinbo the Super Freak.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's up?
Oh, I was gonna say quickly about that Future Bounce song. In an interview, he was talking about that song, and he said that he actually made that a long time ago. That beat, like parts of it, and with like 250, when 250 was on Super Freak Records back in the day, and he said he was gonna originally make it for I think Clara, an old Idol singer. I know she's famous for like that baseball pitching meme.
Oh, her. Oh,
Clara Lee.
God,
Clara.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, whoa, shit. He was saying that was originally for her, and then it just kind of was sitting in this computer program for a long time, and then brought it back out for this and reworked it. And I was like, oh shit, that's a really cool kind of story. And I guess that is kind of a cool way that that's why it feels so, old school a little bit, but also modern enough today. So yeah, shout out to him, man. It's super dope.
It fits. It's like a perfect introduction to like where they want to take their sound. So I am pleased. I that's a good pick. Also, real quick, like if I sound constantly more congested throughout today's episode, like I'm actually kind of sick, and I was like hoping that wouldn't kind of come through, but like the more we record, the more congested I get for some fucking reason. Oh wait, now I'm fine. I don't know what's going on. Fucking this end
You're
of
good.
the year.
You're fine, man.
Oh man. All right. All right. Well, it is my turn for artist of the year. Jimbo the Super Freak is a great pick. Honestly, Mind Combined was one of the most. Mind Circles by Mind Combined was one of my favorite albums of like 2021. I can still recall. I still listen to it. I still wake up to it sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sick of it. So like that should say something. If
super
I'm
good.
waking up to it, and I still like it. Like. Okay.
Gold is going up.
My artist of the year is former Deep VMC's CEO, Mr. Deep Flow, aka Moon Sang-gu, formerly of Big Deal Squads, Big Deal Records, formerly of VMC, now a part of 30 Crew. What do you know? I chose this for a couple reasons, and I was like thinking about his old career this year. Because up until 2023, for the last like decade or so, he's been the CEO of VMC. He's been their leader. He has been the executive producer for like many of the artists, rap albums like Don Mills, Noxa, QM, yada 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 yada. He's been like funding all these like albums like Hyunjun, Lost in Translation, and I was like, that's pretty cool. He's been the leader. And then VMC earlier in the year decided they would part ways and wrap it up from there. So I was like, okay, that's probably one of the best endings you could have on a label, is like part your own ways, realize you had fun, kind of wrap it up. Everything needs to end at some point. It's about whether you're going to wrap it up as a happy group or you're going to wrap it up as a fucking like angry divorce kind of situation. And in my head, okay, that's probably the best ending you could have gotten out of your label. Then he leaves. A couple weeks later, he joins 30, which is like a group of these like young newer rappers who are like doing these neo boom bap, new boom bap drumless kind of beats with like Vion's beat, which I'm sure you love, and he shows up and is doing his thing, and I'm like, damn, sure you're kind of old now, but you play really well with these youngsters. You know what I mean? Like, he's done a really good job on that album, Frost in Your Edge. And I think that was crazy. I just think the way he's able to evolve in that kind of manner, I think is like crazy. He's just showed up in that music video in a fucking windbreaker, in this like trendy gorpcore look, and I was like, oh, like he's still going, like he's not done. So I was like, okay, that's whatever.
New chapter.
Yeah, he's got a new chapter. I'm sure we'll see more of him. And then a couple months later, he dropped a collab album with the legendary Korean producer Dio of Deuce called Dry Season. And it was like so on point, dirty fucking beats. It's like classic, but also new at the same time. It's not the New Jack Swing Deuce that you're used to. It's more like the classic East Coast boom bap beats. It was crazy. And then he also dropped a collab with JJK called Occam's Razor, which has been more of that neo boom bap, that kind of grimy old man hip hop, as you would describe it, kind of beats. And he did a great job collabing with JJK there on several tracks. And I was like, okay. For most artists, when they've been in the limelight for so long, they kind of need to take a break. They, need to come down a little bit. And the way he immediately started running after all his responsibilities were like kind of like resolved, I was like, okay, I gotta give it to the guy. One thing that was crazy about his verses on Frost on Your Edge, previously he has had beef with Take One. He had beef with Justice. And he immediately shot back. He's like, now that I don't need to take care of my little kids anymore, like, fuck you. And I was like, okay, he definitely still has so much fire left in him. I am so sorry for doubting you at any given moment. My artist of the year goes to Mr. Deep Flow, aka Moon Sang-gu, aka Bald Man, aka Tteokbokki CEO. I don't know. How'd you feel about Deep Flow?
Oh yeah. Oh man, it's echoing everything you said. Perfect. Like, it's insane. I will definitely be nominating and voting him in the Hip Hop Awards for Artist of the Year, because I think he definitely deserves it. And yeah, usually after you see these CEOs and the companies fold, it's like, yeah, they maybe go quiet. Like, I mean, Simon D stepped down from AOMG because he said he wanted to focus on music, and kind of has he? Even with Highlight, that kind of that drop that felt very abrupt and like unceremonious. I know they celebrated like their 10-year before that, but he joined Daytona and dropped a really great album last year. That was last year, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of hasn't done much besides that. But yeah, D-Flow, as soon as got a beautiful ending, like you said, to VMC, we were prepared for it. They announced it, and then was like, okay, we're gonna drop one last EP, which was really great.
Also,
had
yeah.
every single artist, all the artists from VMC on there on each track. Each track was produced by one of their producers, Freddy Kaso, TK. I'm blanking on the other two. Buggy and Holiday. Yeah, and Holiday was like, that was one of my favorite albums in the beginning of the year too. He dropped a great album. But yeah, just they did a concert, closed that chapter, and then just like even all the VMC guys really went out and did their thing. QM, Freddy Kaso, maybe Don Mills kind of chilled back a little bit.
He had to. He's had a lot of drama this
Yeah, after what happened last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, him like going straight into 30 Crew was like, what the hell? Like, yeah, that was so unexpected. But like you said, it works perfectly. He didn't feel out of place or like the weird old head that's hanging around the young kid. Like, he was perfect, like on both Frost on Your Edge, and then they dropped a more recent little EP as well. That's very like MF Doom-esque type of sound and inspired. And yeah, like Occam's Razor, great. Dry Season, great. Like I've also heard that he's helping produce Gary on 3, which I don't know when that's coming out, but I've heard he's some type of way involved with that. I'm not. Yeah, so I'm like, dude, like it's just I can't. Yeah, you can't argue it. I think out of all, when it comes down to like just straight up hip hop shit, he's undoubtedly like the dude this year. So I totally 100% agree with your pick, man.
I actually recall now. He was on a radio show with The Quiet, Rap House on Air, and he apparently I recall now. He revealed that he is producing Gary on 3, the third album.
Right.
I'm like, okay. It's been so long since we heard
like
from Gary on at all. Like,
yeah, and if that would have dropped this year, it'd have been like, dude, like that on top of all these other ventures. It's like, man, like you would expect him to take a break after your label that's been around for 9 years. Like,
yeah.
Let me step back and evaluate. But no, it seemed like he knew like, oh, no, I want to step back and from the label stuff and the bullshit, like, and dealing with all that and the business stuff, and just go straight back to being a hip hop artist. So that's definitely what he did this year, man. And yeah. I'm so excited for what he's gonna do in the future.
I believe he's working on a solo album, and I believe it was supposed to drop this year, but obviously that's not happening at this point. So we'll just have to see where this guy goes next year. But I mean, so far so good. So far it's been wild. D-Flow, really, kind of going back to our swings discussion earlier. I was looking at D-Flow on the way he performed on Frost on Your Edge. I was like, this is kind of what you should be doing. Like, you should be there, but like not too present. Like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, Woody Woody Woodpecker laughs.
Apparently, that's supposed to be a ludicrous laugh, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like,
I don't know.
Like, I'm like, okay, I see what you're going for, but like, yeah, not the kind of vibe I want to go. Whatever. The fuck. All right. Hey, it's been a great. I think I've been on air for about 2 hours now. It's been a great year for K-hip-hop. We Rookie of the Year, we chose WWE and Hyejin. Label of the Year, we chose AP Alchemy and In Planet Music. Producer of the Year, we chose Freddy Kaso, Fake Human Being. Hip Hop Track of the Year, we chose Trippy by Bean Zeno and Step Back Bait Cause I'm Too Fight by Alchemy, AP Alchemy. R&B Track of the Year went to Moonsujin, Never Let Me Go and J. Cliff, Johnny Sofa. Hip Hop Album of the Year went to Bean Zeno's Novitsky. R&B Album of the Year went to One by Yura and Sailing by Hoodie. And then Artist of the Year was Jinbo the Super Freak and Deep Flow. Yeah, I think that's all we had prepared for today. Thank you for joining me, man. I hope this was kind of fun for you as well.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Like I said, I consider you guys and the podcast Soju Talk like my first friends in this Korean music K-pop space. So it's definitely an honor to be on here. This is the second time we've done it. So if you want to do it next year, I'm anytime. I'm down to do this every year. So whenever you're ready, just let me know.
I would love to have you on more, man. I've been brainstorming on ways to have you on before the end of next year. So we'll see if that goes anywhere. Well, I'm not gonna make any. I've made too many false promises with this fucking podcast. At some point, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be a Minecraft streamer." Like, that was the fucking thing I said. Oh man! All right, cool. Well, it's been SojuTalk, your weekly shot of K-pop. Thank you for joining us on a special episode. I don't know what we're gonna number this. 262, 261.5, 261.3. I don't know. Hey, but it's end of the year. I hope you had a great 2023. To everybody listening at home, Merry late Christmas. Happy New Year's. We will all see you in 2024. Thank you for joining. Bye. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Adios. Peace. Thank you.
Bye-bye. And here's an extra special shout out to all of our Fiesta Patreons on patreon.com. Bagel, Charles, Cotton Ball, Del Monic, Ellie, Irvtron, Gogu Mama, Honey Pools, Liam's Games and Toys, Luke Daniels, NJ Parks, Tyr, Siu Sumi. And thank you for joining Soju Talk, your weekly shot of K-pop. And special thanks to our Discord server mods: Jacob, K-Music Erday, Koala, Max, No Bias Nuda, Tuggles, and Wolf297.